Is this the last moment? Or is it precisely the beginning of something much bigger and painful? Jungkook and Jin, two names that never fail to leave the world speechless, suddenly appear side by side amid the rumble of Seoul in a performance that feels too perfect to planned. But behind the smiles and glances of the lights, the army caught something they couldn't ignore. Blank stares, trembling hands, and hugs that were too long to call ordinary. Is it a reunion celebration? Or is it a farewell stage wrapped tightly in nostalgic packaging? Why did HYB choose tonight to showcase them? And why did the hearts of the army feel heavy after seeing it? Seoul never really sleeps. But that night, the atmosphere was different. No one predicted that two of the most anticipated figures in BTS's comeback history, Jungkook and Kim Seokjin, would appear side by side. That neat, that mysterious, and that intense. The spotlight of the stage glowed like stars falling one by one in the eyes of the army who were present directly in the arena and millions of others who watched through the screen. But only those who are really sensitive know something is not right. Why did they appear together so soon after their military days had just ended? Jungkook, who was officially discharged from the army just a day before the event, has not been seen speaking publicly. Not even a question-and-answer session or V-Live touched on his normally unfiltered emotions. Jin, who had previously greeted the fans, looked too calm that night. Too quiet. Too ready. And that's the beginning of all these questions. Who prepared this performance? Why do they both look like they are positioned, instead of appearing as natural as usual? There was a strange silence between them, not an awkward silence, but a silence like that of someone who knew that this might be his last performance in a long time. Fans began to wonder, is HYB hiding something? Is this just nostalgia, or a show used to calm the masses before a bigger storm hits? When Jungkook opened the song, Never Let Go, the voice sounded beautiful, as usual. But the high notes don't float like they used to. There was a heaviness in his neck. And when the camera zoomed in on his face, the soldiers realized his eyes were a little red, like they had burst into tears. Jin, who was standing a few steps to the side, looked at Jungkook with an expression that wasn't easy to read. Not proud, not happy, but like someone who knows that something is wrong and cannot stop at point one of their hugs that night went viral. Not because of the sweetness, but because of the emotions that flared up in it. Jin pulled Jungkook tightly, patting him gently on the back. Jungkook didn't let go of the hug. He was silent, closing his eyes. And a few seconds later, his shoulders went up and down. Is he crying? Is this the stage we chose, or the stage we chose for ourselves? It was that phrase that was thrown from the genie in the middle of the moment, making all those present freeze. Is that a form of protest? Is that a signal that they're not really ready? Why did the genie choose those words on a night that was supposed to be full of joy? Aren't they supposed to celebrate their freedom after serving in the military? After the show, fans began to analyze all the details, hand movements, voice intonation, even the arrangement of the setlist, which was considered too melancholic for a celebration. Songs such as Epiphany, Still With You, and The Truth Untold were chosen, and each lyric seemed to be a hidden message. It was as if they were both trying to say something, without being able to really say it. Many ARMY wrote that the performance did not feel like a reunion. It doesn't feel like a celebration, but more like farewell. And if this is true, why is there no explanation from HYB? Why didn't any of the representatives give any clarifications, even just a statement that this is just part of the comeback? Did they deliberately let this mystery live, to keep the thrill? Or they really don't know that emotions can't be faked? Some fans also recalled Jungkook's words before he entered the military. I want to come back with a clean heart, and maybe then I will be different. Was that night a form of his different self? And if so, why does the difference hurt? Jin himself was not seen on social media after the performance. Even in Weverse, there are no uploads, no goodbyes, no thanks. Just silence. And silence, for ARMY who had known him for years, was the most dangerous sign. Meanwhile, speculation began to spread. Some say that this is a form of pressure from the management who want to take advantage of the moment of discharge of all BTS members before the hype decreases. Some believe this is part of an unwritten contract, that they have to show up first before getting a break. And some are even more extreme. They believe that Jungkook and Jin have already decided on something together, which will only be announced when the time comes. Question after question haunts the global fandom. Why is there no interaction session after the event? Why is there no press conference? Why did only the two of them appear, and not all the members, even though RM and V were also free of military service? Is it true that this is not just an accident, but intentional so that only these two figures close the stage? And what hurts the most? Is this their final appearance as BTS? Be careful when looking at their smiles. Sometimes the sweetest smile holds the deepest tears. Jungkook and Jin have given everything for BTS and ARMY. But that night, for the first time, millions of people felt they're not performing for fun. They're holding on. They're trying to say hello without saying goodbye, and no one knows for sure what really happened that night. But for sure, that moment has left a deep wound in the heart of every ARMY. Because maybe in a world that keeps asking for more, even idols have limits to smile. And now, everyone can just ask, have we just witnessed the end of an era? They stand in the spotlight. However, the shadows around them felt more real. As if there is something inexplicable, but it can be felt very strongly. Even among the sea of cheering and crying ARMY, there was an invisible wall separating Jungkook and Jin from the stage itself. They are present, but not fully present. And their every move that night left new questions, not answers. After that performance was over, something even stranger happened. Jungkook refused to go backstage live. He actually sat on the side of the stage, with his back to the camera, facing the audience who had not yet dispersed even though the lights had been dimmed. The genie stood a few feet away from him, staring at him for a long time, as if waiting for a decision or permission to come sit with him. But he didn't come close. He just stared, shut up, and then turn around slowly, go behind the scenes. Was it a symbolic moment? Is Jin making room for Jungkook to decide his own next move? Or on the contrary, did the genie already know that the night was the end of a cycle? A cycle that will probably never really repeat itself as before. A few minutes later, a large screen in the arena displayed an unexpected sentence. Thank you for being with us, even in silence.
No signature. No logo.
No word on who wrote it, but the message instantly froze the entire fandom. Who does we mean? Is this from Jungkook and Jin? Or from BTS? Or even from HYB? Shortly after, various theories emerged in the online community. Some have highlighted that the sentence is similar to the lyrics from Jin's solo song Abyss, which implicitly talks about loneliness and depression. Others highlighted Jungkook's facial expression while singing the final part of Never Let Go, where he is seen holding his breath as if holding back something more than emotion. But what is most surprising are the rumors leaked from the staff behind the stage. One international fanbase, known to be close to the production team, claims that there is great tension behind the scenes. Jungkook was reportedly close to canceling the performance that night and only stayed on due to personal requests from Jin. It was even mentioned that the two of them had locked themselves in the waiting room for more than 40 minutes before the event began, without any of the staff daring to enter. What are they talking about there? Did Jungkook want to give up? Did Jin try to persuade him to stay strong, as he had always done since his debut? Or is that a farewell speech? From the side of HYB, there is no official statement. Even as local Korean media tried to raise questions around the appearance, company representatives simply said, the event went smoothly and according to plan. But the word according to plan actually ignited anger among the fans. Because the question is now shifting. Whose plan? Is this really Jin and Jungkook's own plan? Or are they part of a scenario written by another party? And more people began to recall a series of small events that once seemed trivial. Like when Jin, shortly before enlisting in the army, once said in his live broadcast, "If I could choose, I would like to end all this with a smile." But sometimes, life doesn't give you a choice. That statement, at that time, was only considered a general expression. But tonight, after seeing everything, the statement sounded like a prediction. Jungkook too. In one of his last interviews before enlistment, he mentioned, "I feel like the world is constantly moving, even when I want to pause." Was he trying to pause that night, but the world? In this case, the stage kept asking him to keep going. The ARMY also noticed how the atmosphere of hope on the stage was very different from previous performances. Usually, every BTS concert ends with a hopeful VCR, members, laughter, and sweet messages. But that night, nothing. Behind the sparkling screen and the suffocating glare of the camera, there is a biting quiet. When all eyes were on Jungkook and Jin that night, one figure who is not present on stage became the big question. Kim Namjoon, RM. The leader, Diane. Fact, just the day before, RM was also officially out of the military with Kim Taeyoung. The two were even seen in front of the military headquarters with big smiles, greeting the army through media cameras. But strangely, when Hope on the stage was announced, there were no signs that RM or Taeyoung would be present. Even in promotional posters, their faces do not appear. Only J-Hope and, secretly, Jin and Jungkook. The night after the performance, RM didn't post anything on Weverse, Instagram, even Bubble. There was no congratulations to his colleagues, no proud of you, Jungkook, which he used to write. A mysterious 10-second Insta story appeared, a crumpled piece of paper placed on a wooden table with the caption, "Some things are not written for others to read." Then it's gone. What does Namjoon want to say? Was it a message that was supposed to be a letter to Jungkook or Jin, but never arrived? Or was it something that happened that night? No one can be sure. But in the world of BTS fandom that is so sensitive and full of emotional sensitivity, such a small message feels like a scream in silence. Meanwhile, Taeyoung, a figure who has been known for his mysterious expression, is also in the silent spotlight. In one of the Korean fan site uploads that managed to capture him at Gimpo Airport the night after the concert, Taeyoung appears to be walking briskly, head down, wearing a dark hoodie. But there was one thing that made thousands of ARMY shiver. She was wearing a necklace given by Jimin, not the one she usually wears from her favorite brand. What does the symbol mean? In fandom, the necklace is a birthday gift Jimin gave to Taeyoung in 2022 when their relationship was rumored to be strained. The fact that Taeyoung chose to wear the necklace on the day Jin and Jungkook performed emotionally convinced many ARMY members that Taeyoung was sending a signal of sadness. Shortly after, fan accounts uploaded a long thread about how it was possible that Jimin, RM, and Taeyoung chose not to appear not because of absence, but because of protests. It's possible they knew that the event wasn't a stage meant for healing and celebration, but rather a form of tacit pressure from a comeback-hungry industry. And they, in silent solidarity, chose not to take part. Then came another surprise that shook the fandom world again. An anonymous letter was leaked in the closed international ARMY community, known as Purple Soul. The letter was allegedly written by one of the BTS members, because the language style is identical to previous writings that have been shared with Weverse. It described a deep disappointment with a stage that no longer felt like its own. They say it's for the ARMY, but I feel like I'm entertaining a world that forgets that I'm human too. I stood up because someone asked me to, not because I was readied. I guess it wrong that I want time to breathe without the voices of thousands of people in my head. But if I don't stand up, who will listen to my heart? The letter was never confirmed who it came from, but many fans believe it was written by Jungkook, especially after one part of the letter mentions a line that is very identical to the lyrics, "Still with you." I stood in the night rain, but their voices did not shade me anymore. This section made thousands of soldiers cry, because they knew, behind every song of Jungkook, there was always a fragment of his most fragile self. And this letter feels like the culmination of all the stress that has been stored for a long time. To his surprise, after the letter went viral on Twitter, HYB deleted several comments of fans talking about it in the official Weverse community. Even one of the long discussion threads about anonymous mail was deleted in less than 24 hours. And as always, no explanation. There is no clarification. Only removal and more piercing silence. HYB covering up something, and more importantly, are BTS members struggling to get back to being human amid a system that continues to see them as gods. This story is not over. But what happened in Seoul that night has lit a fire of questions that were too long muted. Because perhaps, behind all the achievements and light, BTS has lost one of the most fundamental things of their art: freedom. And now, there's just one big question hanging in the fandom sky. How many more tears will they have to shed so that the world understands they are not just idols? They are human. It was as if the world stopped turning for a moment. Not because the look is perfect. Precisely because it feels too imperfect, too emotional, too honest, too human. When Jungkook and Jin got off the stage that night, something broke. Not only in the hearts of the army, but also in the industrial mechanisms that have been polishing everything to make it look beautiful, strong, and flawless. In the first 48 hours after that appearance, the virtual world shook. The hashtag is this goodbye JK, hashtag Jin you knew, and hashtag BTS is not okay are trending in various countries, not because fans are celebrating, but because they are fretting. There is a sense of being left without explanation. Like children who see their father crying silently without being able to be asked why. The first reaction came from the international media. Several news portals such as NME, Billboard, and even The Guardian released sharp articles about how BTS's performance this time feels too personal to be called an ordinary performance. One of the music journalists from Japan even wrote, "I watched a young man who used to dance with passion now sing while holding back tears that did not spill. If this is not an emergency call from his soul, then I no longer know what that stage means." However, there is one thing that makes it all the more suspicious. The official recording of the evening's performance was never released. Usually, BTS concerts, even small appearances on radio programs, will be directly uploaded to HYB or Weverse official YouTube channel. But this time, the only footage circulating is just a snippet of a video from Fansite and Fancam that leaked from the side of the stands. And more surprisingly, one of the live broadcasts that was planned to be rebroadcast on South Korean TV stations was abruptly withdrawn without explanation. The show was scheduled to air on KBS 2 days after the concert, but was replaced with an older variety program. No reason. There was no announcement of cancellation. Again, silence. Why was the broadcast pulled? Is it because there is